The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book and the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy, you're invited. Shalom, shalom. Come on in. Come on in, brothers and sisters. Blessings.
The East is where we're from.
Hit the like button. How are you?
The 12 tribes of Israel. In 721 BC.
Shalom.
The Assyrian king.
Thank you.
Took us down, we fell.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
With the great escape, we went through the Euphrates. The Lord held the water still.
Blessings.
To a land where no mankind dwelt, we went. The 12 tribes of Israel. So we be Manasseh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, and Valley from the Isles of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. From Panama,
come on in.
the North American Indians, Simeon, the Dominicans, our highest gathering Israel.
The Arabs and Africans told us at gunpoint. Yeah, speaking of gunpoint. Speaking of gunpoint, we're under a serious, I would say, genocide. Serious genocide. Not like the genocides that most would understand when it comes to outright carnage, blood war, right? They've found new ways of destroying people. And I'm going to go into that in a moment. Shalom, good evening. This is Elder Rawchaa, the Gathering of Christ Church, here with our weekly podcast, lesson, or what have you. Okay? We're going to be nice, direct, to the point. And, of course, we have the lines open, 515-605-9327. We're going to try to open up within 30 minutes to an hour. Okay? Brothers and sisters, we use our particular platform through the Spirit of the Almighty to not only help with the awakening of God's people, but also to warn not just Israelites, but Gentiles also of a judgment to come. Right? And that's what led me to this title this evening, A Nation in Rebellion Against God. See? And I'm going here because even though this nation, America and others, was built on slave labor, it used to be where the majority of, when it comes to the value system within any country our people were enslaved, that it had a moral foundation that all could accept to some degree. There was a moral line, whether you were rich, poor, whether or not you understand. It didn't matter your status. The majority of the citizens of America in particular understood where the moral line was. Okay? And there was usually a commonality outside of class when it comes to morality. Doesn't matter whether or not you're rich or poor. You would have the same feelings if you were violated, if someone stole something from you, if there was an adulterous relationship or an adulterer or whatever the case might be. Regardless of your status, there's some things we held true that made, at one point, America the beacon for the world. It wasn't just the land of opportunity as advertised throughout the earth. It was a so-called nation built on moral standings, rooted in Judeo-Christian values. But look what the world have become. It's exactly what the Most High said would happen before its total fall. And brothers and sisters, let me announce this evening, we are living in the last days. We are currently living at the last end of America's fall. And I'm going to talk about this when it comes to a nation in rebellion against God and how we got here. How we got here. Hit the like button for me, please. I really appreciate it. As you're coming in, please hit it. Doesn't cost you anything to do that. Help us out. I'm jumping right in. I want to also say it was a great Hebrew and Bible Academy week 3, the promised seed, in which we went into showing that according to the Bible, there is a chosen people of God. It's just that the world powers have worked in collusion, a conspiracy to keep the knowledge of who are the lost tribes of Israel in the earth today. But all in all, there is a chosen seed, whether the world powers or media accepts it or not. Okay, we're not here screaming from the mountaintops or from the blocks, recognize me, see me, I'm an Israelite. Listen, that train have left the station. It doesn't matter if anyone in the earth, people mainstream don't accept it. We know now. We know now. And we went into the promised seed breaking down that it is true that there's a promise to a particular people unrealized, and that we so happen to be the people. Okay? We're the people of God. But that's just one element towards salvation or promise. There's other elements. Because someone just being an Israelite, that alone isn't, and let me emphasize, isn't a ticket into the kingdom promised. Will our people rule one day in righteousness? And let me emphasize that, in righteousness, absolutely. Absolutely. But only a remnant of our people will make it. Only a remnant. So just because we can see the prophecies at the very end, Babylon fallen, Rome, the judgment of Rome, leading to the kingdom that's prophesied, not just in our literature and prophecy, folks. Gentile nations understand this. They understand that we're the chosen people of God. We're not Ham. We're not Gentiles. Okay? And this is why we've suffered under the earth, because throughout the earth, because the Most High gave it to us to hold the moral line as an example for the world. And we, as a people, dropped the ball. We were the moral beacon. We were supposed to become a light to the Gentile. This is what made Christ so great. Not that he was just an Israelite through the bloodline of David, who would bring peace one day to the earth. He showed the example of morality before the world so that all people could understand the path, the road towards righteousness. So the Israelite was one piece because the bloodline is a bloodline promise. But it's another thing if you don't believe in the Son who was sent to pave the way. You might as well forget being an Israelite if you don't believe in Christ. If you don't believe in Christ, you are condemned already. Okay? And that leads us to my talking points today, and we're going to talk about this. A nation in rebellion against God. It's not just us. The whole world have gone to hell. And I'm going to show you how they have used this as a political tool. And I'm talking about immorality to destroy us. See, but they have something called a butterfly effect, right? And this is what they didn't bank on. You cannot destroy us without destroying the world. See? So throughout generations, the political construct that they call white supremacy, whom we know as Edomites, they would work from one generation to the next to keep the status quo, which is their power over Jacob. But it comes with consequences. If you begin to use immoral war, because we living on the same earth, it won't be too long before the immorality that you have placed on our people as a way of destruction, psychological genocide, it won't be too long before some of that same immorality begin to show itself in places you didn't plan for it to. Okay. Living under a global world right now. There's nothing you can do to the people in the hood that won't affect you with your child online, seeing all your social engineering against us and now taking it on as a fad. What you didn't bank on is that the social destruction you place in our neighborhoods would be picked up by your own children. And that leads to a nation in degradation. So we're going to connect the dots here, political and otherwise, okay, today. In this academy, we had the promised seed. In this academy, we got a lesson, a man's purpose. What is our true purpose as men on earth? We were meant to rule. And I'm going to talk about that in the academy. It's okay to have fun sometimes. It's okay to enjoy life. Okay? But enjoyment is a reward. That's when you reward yourself after your dedication, being on purpose. Fun is a reward for achievement. You can't have a balance where it's all fun and no purpose. So we're going to talk about that in the academy. The purpose of a woman. The Holy Spirit showing that as an example of how the Holy Spirit relates and respect the order she was created under. And yes, I said she. Wisdom is the Holy Spirit. And she's in total agreement with God and does his purpose to a point where she's free to go all in all to direct everyone back to the Father and the Son. And I'm going to talk about that. And this is when women are in their full power. When they have a purpose as a helpmeet. This is when women are the most happiest on earth. When she solidifies the legacy of that man. And I'm going to talk about that. Empowerment isn't competing and getting what the other has. No, that's failure. Empowerment is working as a nation in our original functions. And I'm going to talk about that in the academy. And of course, I have a lesson week 11. Well, I may do this week 8 or 9. I'm still working it out. The judgment for rebellion. And speaking of rebellion and going back to the chosen seed real quick, the chosen seed. Folks, there's something out there politically where all of a sudden they're shoehorning our people into a political discussion on where do we stand in America as Black Americans, as they call us. I know we're the tribe of Judah. If you're Haitian, you're from the tribe of Levi. And if you are West Indian, or what they would call Jamaican, you are from Benjamin, the warriors. I know history didn't tell us this, but the liars are behind the history. But yet I digress. What I want to talk about here is that they're trying to hear what side should we take? On the side of the Israelis or the side of Hamas? It's like they're seeking to pull us in to an opinion to take a side on one side or the other. And I'm like, what is this? A war we didn't create. A war that America and the Western world has financed over taking care of our people. And I'm confused. I'm confused. How can we take a side when we're suffering more than what Hamas or any other nation can do to one another right here in Babylon? And I'm going to prove that. So you tell me that there's some big political war we need to take sides with, right? But if I look at both of the characters that's in the war, listen, it's their fight. Let them duke it out. I can tell you where it's going to fall according to God. That's my position. Let them duke it out. Because why? There's Jewish people over here who have good relation with our people when it comes to business and all that. And we correspond and do business with you in America. DJ Khaled, he's a Palestinian. Seems like y'all don't have no problem giving him a deal over here, using our music, him really having no talent, to have him in position to get finances where our people who created the genre is suffering. So it seems as if y'all don't have no issue with DJ Khaled over here. Why should we take sides when Palestinians come into our neighborhoods, gas stations, they get loans as Black and brown people, they get all of the perks and benefits that our people have been voting for and crying for. And they treat us no different than any other nation who have taken advantage of us. Okay? So my side is with Israel. What Israel? The children of Israel. The lost sheep of Israel. We're under psychological warfare. We're under biological warfare. We're under duress, and we're going to talk about it today. And because this world is in rebellion and won't tell the truth on anything, now the Most High will have the world powers and those in position to eventually reap what they've sown in the earth against God's people. That's our stand. Our stand is that you're in the Valley of Jehoshaphat. That's right, sparking the last world war that leads to freedom. That leads to freedom. So don't come and try to pigeonhole us politically and say, well, we can only do something for your people if you take a side of Israel or whatever the case is. Or don't try to pigeonhole us into some political think tank scenario you've created by loosely probably tying Black Lives Matter, a political component that has nothing to do with our people, to the Palestinians, which makes that an enemy to the United States. Don't try to now throw some shade on us with some people we're not related to. So that's our stand politically. Me, as a so-called black man, I hate the whole idea of Black Lives Matter. And I hate the fact that the political machine have tied that satanic organization to us. That's my stand. So you can quote what Black Lives Matter say all you want. Black Lives Matter doesn't represent our people. Okay? We've suffered under the politics of that quasi-evil, wicked organization that has nothing to do with us. But I digress. You're doing a great job. We're about 300 likes down. If you haven't already, hit the like button. Let's jump in. If you're interested in the Hebrew and Bible Academy, go to historytimes.org. Go to historytimes.org and enroll. We'll give you all the news, all the Hebrew you've missed, only 3 weeks, and get you in week 4. This week, we're going into Esau and Ishmael together in one lesson. Who is Edom will be the lesson, but we have to bring in the Arabs, the Ishmaelites. 2 lessons in one for the first time taught. And in this academy, we're going to break down the Talmud and the secret origin of Judaism in this Hebrew and Bible Academy. Speaking of Arabs and why we don't take sides when it comes to Middle Eastern so-called conflicts. The real holy war is going on against us. That's the real holy war. That's a political war. That's between them two. It has no business in the theology and the narrative that the Bible says concerning the lost tribes of Israel in the end days. And that's us. And I want to know how many people out there in the world is supporting Israel, which are the lost tribes. When you give me those people who are supporting us, then we'll come back after we've received our benefits and support you. That's how it works. Speaking of breaking down Esau and Ishmael, the Arabs, who have colluded against us to keep us in chattel slavery, whether they be Arabs under Islam or the Vatican, who are Edomites. They have always colluded financially to keep us under some level of political oppression. Here's a book right here, The Other Black Diaspora by Ronald Siegel. And I have a video as well as excerpts I'm going to take from this particular book this coming Sunday. The Arabs, I'm talking about the imperialists, I'm talking about the 12 sons of Ishmael, as well as the 12 sons of Esau, have always colluded against us in the earth. Islam's black slaves. Islam black slaves. So don't come over here trying to talk to us about where's our support for 2 nations who have always destroyed our people to some degree. That's their fight. Okay. Now, speaking of political, we're going to go into this coming Sunday. Go to historytimes.org. We're going to go into it. We're going to lay it all out. And we're going to have our two political nemesis, according to the Bible, revealed and exposed according to God. According to the word, they are in collusion against the 12 tribes, and they've become filthy rich, operating on either side against us. Okay? And we're going to talk about that. All right? Now, going into a nation in rebellion against God. Right? Going into a nation against God. Elder Lawya, if you will. Let's get Babylon the Great, Elder Lawya. Babylon the Great, if you will. Right? Hold on.
Yes, sir.
Hold on. Hold on. Get the Bible. Babylon the Great. 1 second. And yes, we're the gathering of Christ Church. What do we believe? We believe that according to the Bible, the blacks of the diaspora, the brothers and sisters who have suffered under the colonial Rome are in fact the lost tribes of Israel, whether it be North, Central, and South America, and the suffering people in Asia. These are from the lost tribes of the house of Israel. What we also believe, we don't believe that if you are an Israelite, let me make it clear, we are against any level of filthy hatred against any race of people. It's anti-God and it's anti-Christ. Okay? So understand, when you see people disrespecting other people, tying that to Israelites, you're wrong, because Christ was an Israelite and he was a respectful man. The disciples were Israelites. They are respectful. So this is why the media would like to promote debauchery and negative, childish representations. Okay? Hold on, Elder Lawya. Let me bring you in real quick. Hold on. I think I lost Elder Lawya. Hold on. Let me bring Elder Lawya in. Come on. Hold on. Okay.
All right, Shalom, sir.
Okay, Shalom. I'm playing in the background. I'm sorry, Elder Lawya. I lost you. Okay. Let me pull it up real quick. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna bring you in. I have paperwork all over the place, so just bear with me. I really want to lay this out so that brothers and sisters can understand exactly where we are in prophecy today when it comes to the rebellion and the judgment that will come from it, right? Let me pull you in here 1 second. Great, fantastic. How you doing, Elder Lawya, today?
I'm doing well, sir. How about yourself?
I'm blessed. Thanks for joining us today. Thank you for your presence.
Sir. Yes, sir.
All
Thanks
right.
for having me.
That's a nice shirt, one of the Hebrew Bible Academy shirts. Very nice. And, of course,
Absolutely.
I got a little black one here today, Hebrew Bible Academy here. All right. Okay, Elder Lawya, real quick, right? Let's go to, if you may, Revelation 18. And like I mentioned earlier, I'm an Israelite according to Christ, according to the law, according to the genealogy that went all the way down to David, to Christ, to our people in Judea, who was destroyed by the Roman Empire, who were Romans, who were Edomites, Europeans. Our homeland was sacked in 70 AD. We are the real deal. We're the children of Israel. Now, one thing about Israelites, some people get a negative connotation out there because they think that all Israelites believe that white people and this people, everyone is bad. That's a childish way of viewing anything. All due respect to them, we don't operate like that. We believe all people has a chance of repentance, because Christ said at the very end, go and teach all nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Now, will the Gentiles get exactly what the Israelites will get in the kingdom? Absolutely not. Okay, but they'll still be blessed more than here. Okay, two empires or two nations cannot rule the same space at the same time. So the same way there'll never be any equality between any races of people today. If the white man rules, he's in power. The same way when Christ comes, he's bringing the rulership and government for his people who have yet to receive a kingdom. So outright, there's Gentiles who are going to serve in that kingdom, and if they repent, renounce or denounce their paganism, they'll have an opportunity under Christ's kingdom. We care for all of God's creation. It doesn't matter your race. So let me make this clear. Okay, so I want to set the table right there. I can tell the truth about any nation, including our people, and not hate people. All right? So let's get that off. Let's dispel that myth that Israelites are their doctrine is to hate people. That's utterly ridiculous. Okay? Elder Lawya, let's get Revelations 18. Let's read this.
Yes, sir. Revelation chapter 18, verse number 1.
Revelation 18, verse 1. Let's read it.
And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, is fallen.
So it tells us that Babylon the Great is fallen, is fallen. Now you have to realize Babylon's original high position. So when it talks about fallen and fallen, we have to put this in context. Fallen from what? From grace. See? Fallen into degradation. I'm going to show you how this happened. Read. And how did it happen? Read.
Babylon the Great is fallen, and has become the habitation of devils.
And has become the habitation of devils. Go on.
And the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird.
And it says, and has become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird. It has become everything God said don't be. And they have put who? The immoral in position. They have blurred the lines when it comes to morality. And I'm going to show you how we got here. And it tells us that all nations are complicit. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. None of them are absolved. They've all came to America under a secret code to abuse our people, to keep us on the bottom. And now that we realize that we've been double-crossed, not just by the people who are in power, who we've helped. Let me tell you, on top of this, there was people here who attached themselves to our civil rights movement that we stomped for, only to align themselves with our enemies and others to come in. Now that we realize we've been double-crossed, now they're coming in all together for the kill. Sorcerers, evildoers, fornicators. And I'm going to show you how we got here. This is why the Bible says, and it's become the habitation of devils and the hold of every foul spirit. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. All nations are complicit, including the elite of our people, who have taken the bribe, thinking that the evildoers will spare them for betraying us. We're going to roll this out today. We are going to roll this out. How do we get here? The degradation. A nation in rebellion against God. Well, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Here's a white paper by a man, Thomas Herker. He so happened to be a Jewish man, or whatever the case is, okay? But I'm not here to go into his persuasion more so than some of his philosophical views, okay? Thomas Herker, currently a political philosopher at the University of Toronto. Also, he have a BA from Harvard and other areas. He's a known advisor when it comes to politics, whether it be through media, whether it be high politicians. This man's view is widely respected. And what he talks about, see, and Christ says, in the last days that you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. Now, when we think of wars, people think about what? People think about someone dropping a bomb on someone, or Saddam Hussein and all these others, the political, whatever the case might be, like Hamas in Israel and buildings blowing up. But folks, war is fought well before one witness carnage or explosions. Okay, there's proxy wars, there's biological wars. But there's one thing in particular that he go into. The proportionality in the morality of war. It's a theory. And this man have examined war on every level. An expert on war. And one thing for sure, don't forget, when people come to him for advice, insight, or whatever the case is, he gives his perspective or opinion based on whether or not the person who's attacking has the moral high ground. It must be justified. There's rules in war. There's one thing about his theory. The most widely accepted theory of the morality of war contains two proportionality conditions that say a war or an act in war is justified only if the damage it causes is not excessive. Okay? So these are agreements when it comes to political treaties and all that, right? There's always a cutoff point. Right? These conditions have figured prominently in recent debates about the morality of particular wars, including the Gulf, Kosovo, and Iraq wars. But commentators often say the conditions are poorly understood. So it is unclear exactly what they do and do not forbid. In this article, I will try to clarify the idea of proportionality in war or explain what makes damage in war excessive. Right? Now, let me go down here to my point before I start playing my videos and all others. It's one thing. Let me go to part 1 when it says proportionality conditions. Right? Just war theory. That means your war or your declaration of war is justified. Just war theory lays down a series of conditions that a war must satisfy to be morally justified. And our people in particular, you need to hear this and not think of the war we see in the Middle East. Think about it, whether it be psychological warfare or even biological warfare. If they can frame your image immoral, it justifies their declaration of war against you. And he talks about this. It's about soiling the image of my enemy, which gives me the moral high ground to attack them. Okay? And through this, the attack becomes justified. These people will have no defense because the majority of the world would say they were a problem anyway. They were a problem we've all stayed silent about too long. So if they die off, the world is better for it. Now listen clearly. If it violates any of the conditions, it is wrong. Although how wrong, it depends on how many conditions it violates, how important they are, and how seriously it violates them. Right? Now, it talks about a moral line that justifies someone to have the moral high ground to do what? That's right, to declare war. Folks, there's a war that has been declared on us a long time ago. But the war has eventually eroded the whole country together. And that's why the replacements are here. Let me give you one example. Feminism was okay when they were able to initiate or indoctrinate our women into the ill ideology of feminism, which women first. Women first over her duty for man. Femininity worked perfectly for them when they could have a toxic scenario where now the black man is at odds with his woman and vice versa because of this new ideology. While they were able to live comfortably on the outskirts of the suburbs with a what? Living still under a traditional man-first model. So they thought eventually, okay, they'll kill themselves off. No family, no nation. And let me sprinkle some crack in on that too. Right? Let me sprinkle some crack on it. So they thought that what they were doing against the children of Israel was isolated to a degree it wouldn't affect them. But what happens? You reap what you sow. What you plant comes back. So what happens? So this is what happens as an example. And I followed this trend, and I followed this, and I have charts and everything tonight, and I'm not going to be too wordy. I'm going to get straight to it. So what happens was, let's just talk about men of status. Well, the men of status, listen to me clearly, the men of status have a low, have really a low threshold for foolishness or non-appreciation. I'm talking about men of status. So the men of status within our community in general began to say, you know what? Men of status in particular. I'm not talking about all men. I'm giving an example politically of where we are today. Just a view here. Said, listen, you can create the women who are disagreeable, but we're not going to deal with them. We'll deal with the women within our community who are agreeable. Right? Now, even though these may be, a smaller pool, they still exist. But then when there was not enough because you're causing toxicity and family courts and all these others that's going on amongst us, when a man have status, he start looking in other places for traditional women because he's not dealing with what? He's not dealing with resistance. He doesn't have to. So what happens there? The feminism no longer affects the people who you aimed it towards. It's going to affect you. Because the men of high status, your women, your daughters are going to try to go after these men. And when your daughters go after these men, they're going to begin to bring forth black Israelite children. Right? And then what happens? Let me show you what happens. Fair use. See, you have a war, a proxy war, but still it comes back to haunt you. Because men of status isn't going to take any level of disobedience. They have worked too hard to accept it. So they'll find someone on their program. Doesn't matter where it is. And now your little girls and all that are looking out there and saying, hey, we want one of those. And what happens? What happens is, I'll let Joe Biden tell you what happens. Remember I showed y'all this video last week, a couple of weeks ago, the 1994 crime bill? Let me show you what happens. Fair use. Fair use.
But let's look at the facts. Since 1986, Congress has passed over 230 new or expanded penalties for drug and criminal offenses in this United States. 230 new penalties.
Fair use.
And these penalties range from an automatic 5 years in jail for any person caught with a rock of crack cocaine, a piece of crack cocaine as small as a quarter. I don't have a quarter with me, but if you visualize what one looks like, yeah, I do have a quarter.
So here it is now, you're going to lock up someone over some crack cocaine that didn't come from our people. Some would say allegedly there's some clandestine governments who came up with this, but allegedly, who knows? But it found its way into our community. Oh, but then there's some alleged accusations out there or news circulations that even someone's own child is suffering from what? Drug addiction. You see how this stuff comes around? But I digress. See, and that's why the Bible say it's fallen. Because in your image war and destruction and degradation against a people, it have eroded the country. You've been so hell-bent on attacking us, you don't realize the whole nation falls.
You have a piece of crack cocaine, no bigger than this quarter that I'm holding in my hand, $1/4 of $1. We passed a law through the leadership of
Hold on, let me get it.
Senator Thurman and myself and others, a law that says you're caught with that, you go to jail for 5 years. You get no probation. You get nothing other than 5 years in jail. Judge doesn't have a choice. Now,
Judge doesn't have a choice. Remember that, y'all? The crime bill that came from Biden, Democrat. Clinton, Democrat. But I digress. Listen to what he said in 2017 in context of what I'm talking about.
Not only our Muslim communities, but African communities, Asian communities, Hispanic communities.
Folks, this is 2017, folks. This was before he became president of the United States. Listen to his talking points, combating terrorism. Listen to what his concerns were in 2017.
Not only our Muslim communities, but African communities, Asian communities, Hispanic communities.
Black and brown people.
And the wave still continues. It's not going to stop, nor should we want it to stop.
It's not going to stop. It's not going to stop, neither should we want it to stop. Bring them all in. Now, you notice he had to throw in Africans to not seem racist against the darker people. But you ask the Haitians and others, there's a certain lack of hue on the people they are letting through. This is 2017. Listen.
As a matter of fact, it's one of the things I think we can be most proud of. So there's a second thing in that black box.
So he says we can be proud of bringing all these people through, right? This is 2017.
An unrelenting stream of immigration.
An unrelenting stream of immigration. He told everyone in 2017 exactly what his plans were.
Non-stop.
Non-stop.
Non-stop. Non-stop. Folks like me who were Caucasian of European descent, for the first time in 2017, will be in an absolute minority.
So he had a concern of preserving the integrity of who? The Edomites or the Caucasians. His concern weren't our people. His concern was the dwindling numbers, especially in the United States, of his people. And he should have been concerned. I have no problem with people who are for their own self-preservation. That ain't my issue. My issue is our people thought that he had a political plan for us. When he told you his plan and his concern is the fact that their numbers are dwindling. So how do you fix these issues? And we're going to talk about it. So what is his political fix if he get an opportunity to sit in the Oval Office? Right? What would be his focus? Self-preservation. But his only issue is that he would need the black vote to get in position. The people that he's looking to get rid of, who's a threat that's growing above those who look like him. The issue was he needed people who look like us to get him in position for the psychological, biological, as well as every other type of war against the children of God. Listen.
United States of America, absolute minority. Fewer than 50% of the people in America from then and on will be white European stock. That's not a bad thing. That's a source of our strength.
Now he's telling us that that's not a bad thing because he can't say this is what his initiatives are. So how do you reset the table? Well, you have to have an influx, a war out of nowhere, Ukraine and others, which justify an asylum where billions of dollars can go to people who look like him. So now their children has what? Has white people to reprocreate and survive with. So the money allocation to Ukraine and others could be justified when it comes to a nation preserving itself, a race preserving itself, right? So we think, well, Ukrainians, they're not United States citizens, but their children will be. You have to realize who we're dealing with here. All of the Edomites from Europe came from somewhere else. You think they care how their children become Americans? So they're looking at the future concerning their own self-preservation, folks. Listen to this. So it's justified letting other people in because they want children who look like them. Especially with their women now, Kim Kardashian and others who look halfway decent, automatically are leaning towards black men, men of upward mobility and status. And guess what? these women aren't hiding what they want. They're brazen out in public on TikTok. And I'm talking about just straight white women saying, I want them tall, dark, and handsome. They're out there in Florida walking down the street, just out of nowhere in college, might get in front of them. Oh, yeah, I like black men. And you think the power structure, these men aren't seething when it comes to what their daughters are doing to the extinction of our own people? You think they're not watching? You think they're not watching? So look at this. I want to show y'all something now. So now he gets in office. Now Biden gets in office.
Everybody, welcome back to Jordan, the
2
racial
minutes in.
demographics of the country. But this is what they're trying to do. I'm going to.
We ready to go?
Hello.
On Tuesday,
Fair
Joe
use.
Biden and Kamala Harris held a private Zoom call with a small group of civil rights leaders from across the country.
This is a completely closed call, so just wanted to remind you of that. There's no recording.
Clearly, somebody did record, and now I have a copy of it.
Now, this was Biden meeting with the Black Caucus and told people in this particular meeting with the president not to record this. This wasn't supposed to go public. This was just for him and his lackeys. And look how he speaks to them when he believed no one is listening. If you want to hear how he talks to them, and I'm talking about the lackeys who's willing to sell us out, listen to this.
And now you're listening to it. Present for the Zoom was Derek Johnson, president of the NAACP, Vanita Gupta, a former ACLU attorney who was Obama's Civil Rights Division head, the Reverend Al Sharpton, Sherilyn Ifill, Melanie Campbell, who is the president of the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation, and soon-to-be former Congressman Cedric Richmond, who Biden has named an assistant to the president. In many ways, it was a Zoom call like any other.
Can't hear you, Cedric. You're on mute.
It also included a few Biden-esque boasts.
I'm the first person, black or white, who called attention to the fact that you were finding that there was the rate of people who were African Americans who are dying was 3 times that of white people. I don't carry around a stamp on my head saying progressive and I'm AOC, but I have more of a record of getting things done in the United States Congress than anybody you know. Anybody you know.
Oh, yeah, he sure get it done all right. Ask any black man.
Some Biden cringe.
By 2040,
Now,
this
listen.
country is going.
Now he said by 20. Now he's saying by 2040. Now, once he's in position. Now this was before, brothers and sisters, the pandemic. This was before the pandemic. Okay, and don't forget, when the pandemic did happen, the first bill was a COVID bill, but what was attached to that was the Asian hate crime, claiming that black people were attacking Asian people, and they had it in the bill for COVID. Subsequent, listen to this, and they did this subsequent to George Floyd right before the election.
Going to be minority white European. You hear me?
I'm gonna let you hear.
Record of getting things done in the United States Congress than anybody you know. Anybody you know.
Some Biden cringe.
By 2040, this country is going to be minority white European. You hear me? Minority white European. And you guys are going to have to start working more with Hispanics, who make up a larger portion of.
Listen, you see how he's talking down on them? This is what y'all gonna have to do. Y'all gonna have to start working with Hispanics, or we'll throw you off the ship and replace you too. And this is why you see all of these these front people over these so-called minority cities allowing a lot of asylum seekers in, because he told them in a private meeting in which he thought wasn't getting recorded, folks. He told them this is what they're going to be doing. And this was only a few months after the election. He told them what they was going to be doing. Let me repeat that again.
2040, this country is going to be minority white European. Hear me? Minority white European. And you guys are going to have to start working.
How did he know that? How did he know that the population was going to drastically change?
More with Hispanics, who make up a larger portion of the population than y'all do.
And
Go ahead, Biden, tell them. Tell them. Okay? That's right. Tell them. I'm about to have you live in the outhouse tonight. You're going to sleep in the outhouse. Okay? You go down there and crack the whip on those niggers. Let them know to make some room. Make some room. There's some new people coming. Go crack the whip.
Hear me? Minority white European. And you guys are going to have to start working more with Hispanics, who make up a larger portion of the population than y'all do.
Oh, man. You see that hear that bass in his voice? Old Biden had a little stank on that one, boy. He came with it. His speech was totally clear on this little bit. No slurring, no nothing. Tell him, Biden.
Minority white European. Hear me? Minority white European. And you guys are going to have to start working more with Hispanics, who make up a larger portion of the population than y'all do.
and some.
Okay? He was talking to black people. Look at these people. This is who he's talking to. He's telling them that the country is going to be minority white and minority black, okay? Further minority black. They've been saying this for 50 years, people. It's a global scheme.
I'm going to hold this because
they've been working on this a long
I want to go on
time.
this because I showed this before, folks. But y'all need to hear how he talked to these so-called political leaders who you think is for your turn. And when you begin to call these so-called those who represent you and call them to the carpet, they talk down on you like you're nothing. And you can hear church mouse pee on cotton when he said, listen, y'all go out and do what I say do, okay? No argument, no pushback, no nothing. Right? But when it's our people, they try to shame us or talk down on us or say you ain't getting nothing because they're paid to do this. They don't care about us. They feel that if they get down with the program, Massa will spare them and give them a little cushy little room in the plantation house. But I digress. Let me show you where it's at now. Council on Foreign Relations. The Council on Foreign Relations here now, right? Let me show you. The Council on Foreign Relations. How much aid has the U.S. sent Ukraine? Here are 6 charts. So they don't see this as Ukrainians, folks. They're not looking at this as Ukrainians. No different than they didn't see the Italians as Italians who came over in the 40s and the 30s. Because they know once they begin to multiply on American soil, they become what? Added to the white population of American citizens. See? Automatically, it doesn't matter where they come from. There's labels in front of us. Okay? If you are a citizen in America, you are so-called Black American or whatever name they want to put, title they want to put on us, even though we're from Judah. If you're a Native American, they'll say Native American, a Native American citizen. But if white people come over and get citizenry, they're just Americans. They're just Americans, folks. Unless they say anything, they blend in like anyone else. And when it's time for them to have children, they can sustain their race. You have to understand what a war looks like. Okay? There's societal wars. There's social engineering. There's biological wars. And sometimes, usually before they move people around, a biological war throughout all of history happened first, where the world gets conveniently sick to make room for the replacements. The Black Plague, anyone? In Europe? The Black Plague? I wonder how many Black Plagues have come out throughout history, named different, with different titles. But I digress, with different names to it. How much aid has the U.S. sent Ukraine? Here are 6 charts. Let me go down straight to it. 6 charts. Okay, here's American money at good use, based on what. Hold up. First of all, let me give Biden his kudos. At least he's doing exactly what he said he was going to do before he was elected. His concern was that other races of people, black people in particular, because they have to level off the constituency here, that's who they're really pointing to as regaining of other ethnicities. Okay? At least he was honest when he said what he was going to do. His concern was the dwindling numbers of white people by 2040. And he said he's going to do something about it. Well, let's see. Humanitarian, 5% of the money, $3.9 billion. Emergency food assistance, health care, refugee support, and other humanitarian aid. And I don't have to state alleged because this is directly from, I get the stuff, the Council on Foreign Relations. These are they who make decisions for the world. Okay? So I don't have to say alleged here. They're telling you how much money is being allocated from the Americans' pockets to sustain their own people. They don't care where they come from, because once they get on American soil and begin to get citizenry and have children, they're having American children. So this war is a necessity, obviously, based on the concerns that Biden had even before 2017. Okay? $3.9 billion humanitarian. $26.4 billion. Now check this out, our people suffering with the food prices, and $3.9 billion went to emergency food assistance. Emergency food assistance for them and other humanitarian refugee support. Financial, $26.4 billion, 34%. Budgetary aid through the Economic Support Fund, loans, folks. They get loans when they come here, and other financial support. And when you come in and ask for a loan, they're asking, where's your credit score? Folks, these people are coming over the border with 0 credit score getting loans. Security assistance, $18.3 billion, which is 24%. Training equipment. Listen, the same time they're seeking to what? Disarm Americans to some degree, right? I need y'all to think about this. Disarm or background checks, and to make it hard for us to have our constitutional right to protect ourselves with what? With a gun. The same time they're telling Americans, well, you shouldn't have that. It's an assault or this, that, and the other. Well, over there, $18.3 billion towards training, equipment, weapons, logistics, support, assistance through the Ukraine Security Assistance Initiative. Let's keep on going. Another $23.5 billion towards weapons and equipment. And check this out. How many times they going to throw weapons in it? I thought they gave some money to weapons throughout the first two itemized budgets, right? Grants and loans for weapons and equipment, $4.7 billion. In totality, according to this chart by the Council on Foreign Relations, not the Gathering of Christ Church, so far in counting, folks, because this was as of January 24, 22. Now, don't forget, between January 24th and July 31st, that was the amount. And then the so-called president of Ukraine came to the White House and came to the Senate again and asking for more funding just less than a month ago. $76.8 billion as of July 31st, 2023. Loans and everything. Simply for being just of an ethnicity. Right? Now, I wanted to show this. So let me get into it now. Now, in order to make room, they had to, remember when I talked about this initially, they had to do what? They had to wage war against our image. They had to wage war against our image. Now, this is how you do it. The same way they did feminism, Elder Lawya, they incentivized women's youth, which means we're living in a time where if there's a woman who's an absolute 10, she isn't marrying the farmer. See? I'm going to bring y'all down just to elementary talking right now. Right? If a woman is an absolute 10, she's not marrying the preacher's son. She must incentivize her looks. In her prime, she must maximize what she has before she loses it in our current society, which means if she knows that she's set apart from most women, she must monetize herself automatically. See? You got the strip clubs. You got Instagram. You got only fools, because only a fool will pay money to see somebody with some madness in a camera. So that's taken all, and I'm not talking about our women, I'm just talking about their women too, Elder Lawya. Their women too. So they have totally spoiled the pool of women who were to bring forth the next generation of children to sustain the nation. So this is why they have to bring in an influx in numbers, Elder Lawya, in numbers, people from other countries who are raised with traditional values. They're not even trying to save the spoiled pool of their own people. They've given up on their own people. By destroying us, they have destroyed themselves. And this is why they need a new what? They need a new pool of people to sustain. But there's a moral code, according to that philosopher I showed, that will justify these new people replacing the people in America. They're even throwing their women away the same time. This is why they're letting the Ukrainians in. Because their women also have been tainted. So, if you're going to replace a people, what must you do? This is what you must do. They had all eyes on Ghost. Right? Power. Once they got all the eyes on power, right? Showing Ghost, drug dealer, upward mobility, operating in politics, right? And because of his outward aesthetics, right, they had everyone cheering for the bad guy who was killing his own people, drugging his own people. Right? And once they got all the eyes, Elder Lawya, on power, they switched to P-Valley. P-Valley. In order for you to actually go against a nation to replace them, you must destroy the image first. Now, one thing about the people who are coming over here, there isn't no transgenderism policies in all those others in the countries they come from. So they must link us to the degeneracy to justify these people claiming there's no problem helping getting rid of these people who are degenerates anyway. But we must change the optics first. We must make sure this is the man to be celebrated and promoted, and this is the woman. If she have the looks, doesn't matter whether or not she's black or white, that we must promote them for the streets because they've been tainted anyway. This links right to Revelation 18th chapter. Folks, they're looking to replace everybody. It isn't just our people. But those in the red states have already moved away from the cities, knowing the plan because they're preparing themselves for the next civil war. Now, the Republicans are going to marry, that's right, they're going to marry the people that are coming over here new. They have paid for them. They have paid for them to come over here so that they can have children, to start over and have a moral high ground to justify destroying the people in the city. Right? Elder Lawya.
Yes, sir.
I'm in the book of Jasher. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Let's go straight to it. Book of Jasher, the 18th chapter. Babylon the Great is fallen. Also, the book of Revelation 18 compares this to a modern day Egypt and Sodom. How do they get the moral high ground to actually utterly destroy our people? And folks, what they're doing now is just the last shoe to drop. You have many people walking around in the United States living with a ticking time bomb in them. Literally, a ticking time bomb. So they already have the whole replacement going to know exactly how many people to bring in and how many people aren't going to survive after a certain amount of years. You have to watch what they say. If they talk about they have a population problem and they're being phased out, know that they're going to do everything they can to survive. Wouldn't you? What you didn't expect is for them to target our families and all that who've supported the same people who's doing this to us with the legislation were the people who promised to actually help our people for the first time in this United States of America. So let's talk about how they were able, what tactics they used to attach to us. Sodom and Gomorrah. Let me show you what was going on in Sodom and Gomorrah amongst their elite groups. And this is going to tell you, folks, why a lot of these so-called boule and others who are our political representatives, why they can't say anything even if they wanted to. Who knows? A lot of them could be compromised. Who knows? Especially coming from the lifestyles they indulge in. I mean, look at Gillum, who was in Florida, who was running for Gillum. Was his packaged family man in Florida running for the governor. He had the political fortitude, he had the steam behind him, he had the finances behind him, and all of a sudden he was found, that's right, in the news it tell you, not allegedly, face down in his own vomit after having a night with a white escort. You can look it up. So when they put these politicians in front of us, understand, these politicians may look like us, but they are not for us. Okay? So when you see somebody in Chicago claiming that, okay, this is what it's going to be, we have to make room for other people and all that, understand, he's doing what he's told based on how we have witnessed Biden speaking to them in private. They don't have no say in the matter. They must push the legislation, or they'll get another black person who'll be more than happy to do so. Let's talk about it, Elder Lawya. Let's go to, in the book of Jasher, 18, let's start at what, the 11th verse?
Yes, sir.
Let's do it.
The book of Jasher, chapter 18, verse 11.
Come on.
In those days, all the people of Sodom and Gomorrah and of the whole 5 cities were exceedingly wicked and sinful against the Lord.
They were exceedingly wicked and sinful against God, rebelling. Read.
And they provoked the Lord with their abominations, and they strengthened in aging abominably and scornfully before the Lord, and their wickedness and crimes were in those days great before the Lord.
And it says their wickedness and their crimes was in those days great before the Lord. Right? And I'm going to tell you, folks, let me put this out there real quick before I break this down, folks. Let me break this down real quick, Elder Lawya. Let me tell you, folks, when it comes to Sodom and Gomorrah and alternative and all that other stuff, it's the media and others to make people believe that it's more prevalent than it actually is in our society. Okay?
Right.
And for some reason, we have taken this on, that black men and all this is gay and all that. Folks, let me tell you, that's a lie. You're looking at concentrated cities where you can find those particular actions within one of the major cities when all of them go to flock to a specific area in a city. But if you spread it out in percentages, they pale in comparison in number. That really doesn't exist like that, where the majority of the black men are gay and all that. That's a lie. Now, this is the optic they was able to sell through imagery to make us believe it was that way. Hollywood and all that had quotas where 1 in every 7 actors within Hollywood, if they're going to write a script or take it on for a production, must include at least 1 gay representation. When there's not 1 in 7 in the normal population. So if you're seeing on if you're seeing on every television station, right? And if you're seeing this on every series and all that, and then go into concentrated cities and see it in certain areas, you start to believe it's the majority.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? It's less than 7%. Less than that. When you look at the numbers, and I'm talking about out of 330 million people. And I'm talking about regardless of race, ethnicity, and all of that together, not black men or black women. If you put the LGBTQ all together, 7% of all races across the board, it's still less than 7%, not including race. So how can the majority of black men be down low and all this other stuff? They're lying.
Mm-hmm.
And many have held to this trope. Why? Because you think what you see on TV is indicative to real life. If it was really like that, they wouldn't need to have these programs in school to allow children to start thinking about alternatives and all that. They'll already have it working.
Mm-hmm.
But if they can put the optics out there that it's normalized, 1 out of every 7, according to Hollywood, right? According to every radio station you see, every television program you see, the image that they've created to put out there to represent us, you'll begin to believe what you're seeing on TV and the internet is indicative of what's going on in real-time population. But that's the problem. More people are looking at their phones and their computers than going out and understanding what's going on in real time.
Mm-hmm.
And that has become your reality. That 1 in 7 men could be gay. It's a lie. It's a lie. So there's many reasons many would like to say, well, okay, men are either in jail and gay. No, a lot of those are tropes, folks. A lot of those are tropes. It's a small percentage of men in jail. But then it comes down to, well, okay, if they're not the jail thing and the gay thing, now we must have the real conversation to why relationships aren't happening like they used to. See? Now we have to have the real conversation. Now the excuses have been put away. But I digress. I'll talk about that. I want to discuss that in the academy. But let's go back to the book of Jasher real quick, if you will. One moment. Let me grab it.
Yes, sir. We're in verse 12.
Read it.
And they had in their day a very extensive valley, about a half a day's walk.
So they had a valley, a place they would go in Sodom and Gomorrah. A half a day walk, they would go to this place, right? To do what? Let's read.
And in it there were fountains of water and a great deal of herbage surrounding the water.
Come on.
And all the people of Sodom and Gomorrah went there 4 times in the year with their wives and children and all belonging to them, and they rejoiced there with their timbrels and dances.
So every season, usually around their so-called change of seasons, they would go to this festival out near the water during Sodom and Gomorrah, the change of seasons. Folks, you're going to find out these are celebrations or actions amongst elite circles. And what would they do, leaving their homes? What would they do? Folks, this is, believe it or not, the origin of festival. The origin of festival, where even the Catholics would allow what? Even the pious or the honorable amongst their people to get sin out of their system at a certain time of year, only to go back to their normal lives as if it didn't happen. It was a way of releasing the sin so that it don't follow you, so that you're not living by the temptation. And this is why, that's right, the Roman Catholic Church had absolving of sins. Get it out of your system. The Pope would just say it's okay. Right? Let's read it.
Yes, sir. Verse 14. And in the time of rejoicing, they would all rise and lay hold of their neighbors' wives.
It says they would all rise at these festivals 4 times a year and hold of their neighbors' wives, wife swapping. It's nothing for people to be out here saying publicly without shame, oh, we have an open relationship. And I'm not even going to go into the brother Will and Jada. But it has become normalized that we're here looking at this drama playing out before everyone, not even realizing the optics and the image of it and how it justified them according to war, utterly exterminating us. And at the time of rejoicing, they would all rise and lay hold of their neighbors' wives, wife swapping.
Mm-hmm.
And some read,
the virgin daughters of their neighbors.
Then they would take the virgin daughters of their neighbors. Folks, this may happen allegedly amongst elite circles. And this is why a lot of these guys, when they get out there to do what Satan's will, they only pass in legislation that they have to pass. Why? They could be possibly morally compromised. Right? And some of the virgin daughters of their neighbors, read.
And they enjoyed them, and each man saw his wife and daughter in the hands of his neighbor, and did not say a word.
They would see their wives and their daughters in the hands of their neighbors and could not say a word. That's the origin of Sodom and Gomorrah. It's in the book of Joshua. Sodom and Gomorrah. And they would do this 4 times a year, to the degree where even Abraham, Elder Lawya, Abraham himself commissioned before the Most High and asked him, could he forgive Sodom and Gomorrah? That's how much love our father Abram had for life. Throughout all of this evil, Abram went and asked the Most High, how is it possible? Is it possible that we can forgive Sodom and Gomorrah? Can you save this place? There is good people. My friend, my brother, my cousin Lot is there. My family lives there. So Abram the righteous, I just went into the promised seed. Very great lesson last Sunday, a few days ago. Even Abram asked, my family is over there. Can you save Sodom and Gomorrah? Elder Lawya, let's get that when he petitioned the Most High.
Yes, sir. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 18, verse number 16.
Genesis 18. Genesis 18. And let's go straight to it.
Yes, sir. Verse number 16. And it says,
yeah.
And the men rose up from thence and looked toward Sodom, and Abraham went with them to bring them on the way.
Come on.
And
so these men are angels here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Walking with the righteous.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bible coins these or identify these as the eyes of the Lord. Let's read.
17. And the Lord said, shall I hide from Abraham the thing which I do? Seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and that they shall keep the way of the Lord to do justice and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which ye have spoken of him.
Now listen how the Most High view Abram in high regard based on what? His moral standing. I can trust that Abram is going to do what? He's going to hold the line morally on earth to represent his purpose.
Mm-hmm.
No blurred lines here. He's going to hold the moral line. And this is what we were, folks. Even in chattel slavery, folks, outside of them conditioning us and severing a few people away from us to actually deal with their debauchery and sexual perversions. Outside of that, we were the moral, I'm going to tell you, folks, barometer of the United States. We were the moral barometer. Like our father Abraham. Read the 20th verse.
Yes, sir. Verse 20. And the Lord said, because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and because their sin is very grievous, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it, which is come unto me. And if not, I will know.
Read.
And the men turned their faces from thence and went toward Sodom, but Abraham stood yet before the Lord.
So the angels are going into Sodom to check and see whether or not the witness that went before the heavens is exact. Because many people in Sodom and Gomorrah is crying towards the heaven. They're murdering people. They're abusing people. And I'm talking about the governors, the government of Sodom and Gomorrah. This wasn't just the people. It was the government. Let's read.
Yes, sir. 23. And Abraham drew near and said, wilt thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked?
So now he's what? He's praying to the Almighty and asking, Lord, will you destroy the good people with the wicked ones? Read.
24. Peradventure there be 50 righteous within the city. Wilt thou also destroy and not spare the place for 50 righteous that are therein?
He says, suppose there's 50 there. Will you spare all of Sodom and Gomorrah if there's 50 that haven't been tainted by Sodom and Gomorrah's perverted ideology, excuse me. Mm-hmm. Will you save a whole city for 50? 25.
That be far from me to do after this manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked, and that the righteous should be as the wicked. That be far from me. Should not the judge of the earth all the earth do right?
Read.
And the Lord said, if I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all the place for their sakes.
If there's 50 people who haven't been affected by the wickedness of Sodom, for your sake, Abram, I'll save it. For if there's 50 in this big city, I'll save it. And I need all of us to think about all the people we tried to tell about the truth and all that, and they're still going about their life because they know that if they come to the knowledge of the Bible, then there's things they would have to change. That's really the reason why most people reject the Bible, folks. It's not because they think it's tampered with and all that, because they know they're doing something in their conscience against the morality within the book itself. And if they don't read it, they feel that they're not what? That they're not tied to the judgment written in it. I need y'all to think about that. So these people try, I don't deal with the Bible, it's tampered. Oh, I don't deal with the Bible, oh, the white man. Nah. The reason they don't deal with in the Bible, because they don't want their conscience. They don't want their conscience spoken to. They want to do against the Bible and be justified or absolved by claiming, well, I didn't read it, so maybe I'll escape the judgment of it. So I need y'all to think about that when you speak to your family. All that Bible stuff up. Listen, folks, it's their conscience. And here it is. You're like Abram. You're like the righteous saying, Lord, I pray that you open their eyes. I pray that you save them. I don't want my family to die. Just like Abram. So now he petitions the Most High. He speaks to the Most High and pray to them. Right? Pray to him, right? And ask, well, what are you going to kill? If there's 50, can you save the city? And he says, you know what, Abram? If there's 50 right, I'll spare Sodom. Read.
27. And Abraham answered and said, behold, I have now taken upon me to speak unto the Lord, which am but dust and ashes. Peradventure there shall lack 45 righteous.
What about 45? Read.
Wilt thou destroy all the city for lack of 5? And he said, if I find therein 45, I will not destroy it.
Come on.
And he spake unto him yet again and said, peradventure there shall be 40 found there. And he said, I will not do it for 40's sake. And he said unto him, O let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak. Peradventure there shall be 30 found there.
He's going down in increments of 5, 10. What about 30?
Mm-hmm.
So obviously Abram had been hearing some rumblings too about some of this wickedness, especially, conversing or spending some time with Lot in between. Like that city is going to hell, right? But go on. Finish reading, Elder Lawyer.
Yes, sir. And he said, I will not do it if I find 30 there.
He said, if there's 30 there, right? Right? Read. Come on.
31. And he said, behold now, I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord. Peradventure there shall be 20 found there.
He says, what? What verse you had, Elder Lawyer?
That's 31.
Read on.
Peradventure there shall be 20 found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 20's sake. And he said, oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak yet but this once.
Come on.
Peradventure 10 shall be found there. And
Come on.
he said, I will not destroy it for 10's sake.
Go ahead.
And the Lord went on his way as soon as he had left communing with Abraham, and Abraham returned unto his place.
And Abraham returned to his place. He says, if there's how many, Elder Lawyer?
10.
If 10 people, if there's 10 that's righteous, Abram, for you, I'll spare Sodom and Gomorrah. 10. And guess what, folks? They don't want to say this. I have the documentaries. I have the information, folks. Even the Israelis and people over Israel today can tell you it's true. That place been uninhabitable ever since the Most High allowed fire to rain on it. I've shown this documentary and all that in the academy, where you can go over there and it still smells of sulfur and burnt stone. All on the sides, the sulfur is still there. Look it on YouTube, evidence of Sodom and Gomorrah, but they'll tell you the Bible isn't real. 10 people he would have spared Sodom for. And you know why? I'm going to show you why. In context of what I was just talking about, I'm going to show you why he allows Sodom and Gomorrah to be destroyed. Going back to Biden and the migrant thing, right? And I'm going to use that as an example real quick, right? I need y'all to see this. I need y'all to see this real quick.
Sit up here with this crap and we're supposed to listen to it.
City leaders tried explaining the decision, but the crowd did not want to hear much of what they were saying.
My name is Beatriz Ponce de Leon. I'm the Deputy Mayor for Immigrant, Migrant, and Refugee Rights.
And if you think it was loud inside, it was...
Now, I'm going to show you in context why the Most High said, listen, if there's not 10, I'm taking the spot out. I'm taking it out. You got all of these people crying about migrants coming into the country. Right? Upset with a Democrat policy. But none of these people was standing outside to not allow the schools to open when their children were being taught in the schools alternative lifestyles. I need y'all to check it out. It's the same party. When they went into transgenderism and all this, where should the parents have been at that point? You mean to tell me this is more of a pressing issue than what they're doing to our children in school? While I'm against some of the conning that comes with so-called Dr. Umar Johnson, when he came on the scene talking about the prison, the school-to-prison pipeline and how our children were disproportionately being diagnosed with psychological issues and put on medication, where was this crowd at? It's the same party. Where was this crowd at? In Chicago. Folks, to protect their children from what's going on in these liberal schools. Because I'm going to tell you right now, according to their theory on war, they're justified now because you wasn't doing this to protect your children. They're justified now. It's too late. You weren't in front of your children being turned out with liberal policy. You weren't there. So now that they come in with the answer, you have an issue? And I believe these so-called politicians who represent them understand that this was that this would be the issue, that this would happen once our image was totally destroyed and decimated before the world. I believe the politicians knew. And that's where it comes in with this guy, Thomas Burka, and what I was going into. The professor on philosophy when it comes to war. For those who missed it. For those who missed it real quick before I open it up. If I still have it up here, let me see if I have it. I don't know if I still have the white paper. Hold on. Yeah. Right here. Right? Where he goes into political war. Okay, he has a BA from Harvard. Okay. He also teaches at the University of Toronto when it comes to wartime psychology and what give your enemy the upper ground to attack and or destroy you. It's called just war theory. The most widely accepted theory of morality of war contains two proportionality conditions that say a war on an act in war is justified only if the damage it causes is not excessive. So if you can do a soft kill on the people with a cutoff number, it's okay. See? These conditions have figured prominently in recent debates about the morality of particular wars, including the Gulf, Kosovo, Iraq, and all these others. So in a nutshell, what he's telling the presidents and all these others who come to him for advice is, you can't go to war unless you have a moral justification. The same way with Iraq. They had to come up with, now afterwards it was founded to be questionable probably, but originally it was about yellow cake, bombs of mass destruction, which gave America the moral war to go, the moral high ground politically from an international view to stake war against Iraq. See? When you look at Israel, Hamas. Last week, they were showing videos before the bombings of some people from Hamas kidnapping people and all these others, which gave them what? The moral high ground to justify no one saying anything against the bombings. Well, here we are today. Here we are today. What justified them killing our people and destroying us? They have the moral high ground. They have the moral high ground to where the other nations will look at Americans and say, you should have replaced these people a long time ago. They are in rebellion against God. Do whatever you want to do with them. And a matter of fact, after you get rid of them, we'll come over there and show you what morality looks like. We're willing to replace them for you. No one have ever broken it down to you on, I'm going to tell you, from a normal optic standpoint in which you can actually understand why the Most High is allowing all this to happen. Because we are allowing our image to be totally tarnished. And now we have what? We have selective outrage. You have selective outrage. Shut up about somebody coming to do something in your city when you wasn't in front of your schools when they had what? transgender story time for your child. This gave them the moral high ground to justify with the international body to state it's okay to replace these people. They won't get in front of the shootings in Chicago. They won't get in front of this. They won't get in front of nothing. And a matter of fact, we're going to allow them to continue to promote themselves negatively so that we can have the moral high ground justifiably in war to replace them, because we have a number problem. We have a number problem, and this is what Biden said in 2017, well before he was president of the United States, that they have a numbers problem. So now, because our image has been tarnished to the point of no return, they're not just going to replace the people in America, they're looking to replace their people too, because their good-looking women are choosing black men publicly. Not, it was okay when it was privately, but they're mocking their men. So now they've opened up the border, opened their wallets and said, come on, Ukrainians who was raised to be tradition, come on in and have our children, because we're even going to get rid of our people too. So it's not just our people under duress, folks. It's the optics. It's sin that gives them the justification to not just come against our people, but their own. Babylon the Great is fallen, and Biden told them it was going to happen.
Not only our Muslim communities, but African communities, Asian communities, Hispanic communities, and the wave still continues.
This was 2017. Listen to him.
It's not going to stop, nor should we want it to stop. As a matter of fact, it's one of the things I think we can be most proud of. So there's a second.
So he told them immigration ain't going to stop. There's something we can be proud of. This was 2017, folks. And I think so many people got caught up in the smoke of Black Lives Matter and I hate Trump and all this other stuff. The news circulations was pumping into the ignorant within the world. They just need to get in position. But this is what he wanted to do. Listen.
Thing in that black box, an unrelenting stream of immigration.
An unrelenting stream of immigration in the other black box.
Non-stop. Folks like me who were Caucasian of European descent, for the first time in 2017, will be in an absolute minority in the United States of America. Absolute minority. Fewer than 50% of the people in America from then and on will be white European stock. That's not a bad thing. That's a source of our strength. And so
that's the source of our strength. We will be the minority. And then he told the politicians this.
Kamala Harris held a private Zoom call with a small group of civil rights leaders from across the country.
This is a completely closed call, so just wanted to remind you of that. There's no recording.
Clearly, somebody did record, and now I have a copy of it, and now you're listening to it. Present for the Zoom was Derek Johnson, president of the NAACP, Vinita Gupta, a former ACLU attorney who was Obama's Civil Rights Division head, the Reverend Al Sharpton, Sherilyn Ifill, Melanie Campbell, who is the president of the National Coalition on Black Civic Participation, and soon-to-be former Congressman Cedric Richmond, who Biden has named an assistant to the president. In many ways, it was a Zoom call like any other.
Can't hear you, Cedric. You're on mute.
It also included a few Biden-esque boasts.
I'm the first person, black or white, who called attention to the fact that you were finding that there was the rate of people who were African Americans who dying was 3 times that of white people. I don't carry around a stamp on my head saying progressive and I'm AOC, but I have more of a record of getting things done in the United States Congress than anybody you know. Anybody you know.
Some Biden cringe.
By 2040, this country is going to be minority white European. Hear me? Minority white European. And you guys are going to have to start working more with Hispanics.
The first thing he said when he got in office, not a plan for our people, like him and Kamala claimed to sit down and speak with Ice Cube. He had a plan to call Build Back Better. His plan was to build back better. And it's based on what his concerns were before the election. The dwindling numbers of white people having white children. And now that black people have, men in particular, have upward mobility in finances, a lot of their women were choosing black men in spite of them. They say, you know what, we scrapping this. And this is what you have when you point a negative, degradative spirit on other people, not realizing your daughters and sons will eventually pick it up. They kept us at bay as long as they could by tarnishing our image, but by doing so, tarnished the image of the whole country altogether, which the Bible states, Babylon the Great is fallen. None of it is right. So now that they have the moral high ground, pointing to the liberal side of things, it justified them bringing in all of these white Ukrainians and others to replace the liberal negative image. It's Bible prophecy. But guess what? It's still not going to survive. Because there will be civil war. I'm going to tell you. There will be civil war. Now, not in our immediate future, but there will be a civil war. And that will be the end of America as we know it. Right? So, let's open up the lines real quick. Rebellion. 515-605-9327. He said he was going to do it. Elder Lawya, Biden, and those who control it, that's behind the Council on Foreign Relations and all that, bringing the people over. Folks, this is the answer to what the politicians that look like us was pushing. We need to stop black on black crime. We need to do this, do that. They was talking all the talking points to give us a negative view before the world to justify us getting sick and to justify them replacing us altogether. Here we go. Now, Elder Lawya, here's another place that I think they're going with this eventually. You heard it here first. Today is October 18th, 2023. According to their time. We know it's not that, but according to their time. Elder Lawya, this is going to be the justification for every boogeyman imaginable to put the whole United States under lock. What do I mean by that? There's nothing for stories to come down the pipeline now that when the borders were open, some disease of different variants crept through. See? The borders open and some disease came over the border. Now they have justification. Now they got everyone focusing on immigrants. So is no one going to deny that as a possibility? So now that we got a new disease that came through the immigrants we let through, here's the rules. This is what we have to put in place now. Don't be surprised if that move happens. Or don't be surprised if there's a terrorist group that they've been talking about in the news who conveniently snuck through the borders and now threaten American citizens now. And now laws have to be passed in Congress and Senate because of that. But all of this leads to what? New laws being put on the books that will oppress and destroy its citizenry. Babylon the Great is fallen, is fallen. And all you people out there in Chicago, New York, and others, if you're not standing up for your children in front of these schools, making sure they're not being taught sin against God, then you need to sit down and say nothing about the people who they have elected to replace you. Because I'm going to tell you, right now, under their political conversations, and I read their white papers, folks, they are justified amongst the political international body to do whatever they want to do to the people in the inner cities. They have justified. Because guess what? None of you went to these major corporations and these major media conglomerates. None of you went there when this movie came out and when these things came out and said, listen, shut this down. My children may run into some of this. Shut it down. We don't want this on TV. Keep this amongst people who want to do it. Now, America is the land of the free, and people have the opportunity to be anything they want. But do that with people who agree with it. And that's what parents should have said. We're not stopping you. We've never stopped a person from doing what they want to do in their own bedroom. It's between them and the person they're dealing with and their God. But this is when you should have been standing up. You're standing up now that the replacements are at the door. Too late. There is no getting back America. I went to an ID place the other day, Elder Lawya. I went to an ID place because, you know, when you deal with the motor vehicles and all these others. Folks, I'm going to tell you, Eastern Europeans, there was a whole family of Asians who couldn't even speak English. Came from the side and got their identification, a whole family together. I've never seen nothing like this. Usually, you know, you don't go down with the whole family to get ID. That's how I know they just came off of the plane. You know, let me go update my identification, whatever the case is. And then your sister may go, your cousin may go, your son may go, ever so often. They got whole families of East Indians, Asians, and others coming in with whole families getting ID right on the spot, which means it won't be too long before that's the agreement is you must replace our voting block. If we're going to replace you, then we're going to give you the right to vote. And folks, this is how you politically remove a people from relevance. The last time our people could have had a say to do something was the last voting block, even if that could have saved anything. That was the last shot. And this is why, let me tell you, Elder Lawya, when Ice Cube said something, and when Kanye was saying things, they rallied all the media together to say, nah, you're not supposed to be thinking outside of your controlled liberal thought. The whole political machine rallied. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, national media. They're like, no. This guy's going to get in the way of our political game. They're asking for something for these people when this is the last time these people will have a voice. We need to finesse this thing, and by finessing it, we won't have to worry about mail-in ballots or anything else after this one. We don't have to worry about nothing because the replacements will already be here. And folks, it's already a quasi-civil war already politically. And that's why I showed that white paper earlier. It's about promoting the imagery of negativity and or sin and have the people attach themselves to it, which gives the world body the moral justification before the world to actually destroy any particular demographic that they have between the crosshairs. That's where we are politically. Babylon the Great is fallen. So guess what? Don't cry now. You're not even there for your own children that's being taught, having your son run around in kindergarten with a pink dress on because it's try on a new gender day. But yet, where was your town halls then? Elder Lawya, you have anything before we go to the calls?
No, sir. No, sir. Let's go to the calls.
Babylon the Great is fallen, it's fallen. Elder Lawya, give me about 3 minutes. I'll be right back. What say you? 515-605-9327. All the witchcraft, all the evil, all the bickering, all the fighting against one another, and all of that. Folks, guess what? There's a reckoning. There's a reckoning. And this is where we are right now. And guess what? They're not just looking to replace our people who has the image of immorality. It's their people too. It's their people too. Understand that. I said it before. When you seen all these basketball players and all this others going on and Kanye West running around with the persona, with the actual image of a Madonna representing white women and all these others. Let me tell you, the straight racists were looking at this and saying, you know what? Those are not our women. Let's get rid of all of this. We're being outnumbered. Even with people deleting their children and all that, we're still dwelling in numbers, and our women don't even want to have our children anymore. Let's finish it all. And then we'll just get them on the other side. When the war starts, we'll get them. We'll get them another way. See? We'll get them. A matter of fact, there's something out there, and guess what? If you want to play basketball, if you want to do whatever you got to do, you got to go with what we all need to be safe. See? They'll get you another way. Okay. Oh, no, if you want to shoot a basketball, oh, no, Kyrie, oh, no. Oh, Kanye, oh, no. If you want to actually play in our arena, yeah, you're going to have to make sure we're all safe. See? So they're not just going after our people, folks. And the rules of engagements, according to their white papers, is that for any war, it doesn't matter what kind of war, they must have the moral high ground to execute it against what? The enemy. And if they can show you negative against and a threat to society, it justifies the world bodies to come against you. So understand this the next time you're out there sinning and acting a fool. Understand this. The fix is already in. The fix is already in. Elder Lawya, I'm going to come right back. We're going to answer a few calls, and then we're going to bail out earlier today, all right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Because we put together the presentation. What you going to do with it? You can get with this or you can get with that. Babylon no longer exists as it once did. It's over. And the reset happened years ago when they shut everything down and America came back something brand new, and this is what you're looking at, the fall of it. Hold tight, and I'll be right back. I'll be right back. Hebrew and Bible Academy week 4, we're going into Esau and the Arabs, Islam and Christianity. We're going into the history of Esau and Ishmael, the Arabs and the Edomites, who are the Romans, who have always colluded against us. Okay? So you got to watch out when you got the Mujahideen and all these others and Al-Qaeda and all these. What's going on? What's happening? Is both of them playing together? We're going to talk about that in the Academy this coming Sunday. Go to historytimes.org to enroll. I'll be right back. Brothers and sisters, thank you for all your support. This is how you can support us right down right here. We'll be right back with your calls. Shalom. We're living in a world that's rebellious against God. One moment. The Bible. Is it hard to understand?
When it comes to reading the Bible, the first thing that comes to mind is the fact that this is the Word of God.
The seals have been broken, and the truth is here.
And when we go throughout the scriptures, when we go throughout extra biblical records, we find that the language that God employed, that He used to create the heavens and the earth, was the Hebrew language.
Christ said, I came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. But yet no one, no religious leader, no religious church out there anywhere can now identify the 12 tribes of Israel. Can we? God is quite simple, but it seems as if man makes understanding Him hard.
What are those mysteries?
The truth of your book. And the truth will make you free. The Hebrew and Bible Academy, you're invited. All right. Yes. Live, and thank you, Elder Rawchaa. I'd like to thank you, Elder Rawchaa, for holding the calls down. Let me get straight to it. And thank you all for all your support. Thank you, brothers and sisters. And hey, it's okay because we got next. Of course, we have to navigate through this, but hey, this is what this A Gathering 144 channel is all about. Truth. And folks, let me tell you, the powers that be aren't backing down. They have put their foot on the gas and taped their foot to the floor, okay? They running this thing straight to hell. So we have to be like Abram and Lot in preparation for what went down, to prepare for what's next. And that's what this church is all about. It's not just about dropping the truth and giving understanding and connecting dots. It's in preparation for what's to come next. And this ministry have always been this. All praises be to the Most High. 515-605-9327. Okay? Let me open it up here. Blog Talk call in. Yes, let's go.
Blog Talk Radio. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please hold and you will be able to listen to the show.
All right. I got my switchboard in front of me on this iPad here. Right. Okay, we have Elizabeth.
Unmuted.
Thank you, Elder Rawchaa, for unmuting me. All right. We have Elizabeth with a comment. Elizabeth. Shalom, Elizabeth.
Shalom, Elder.
Shalom. How are you?
I just wanted to tell you, I'm fine. How are you?
I'm doing well.
I just called to let you know that my husband and I, my son, we participated in the mass baptism that you had on the 8th of September.
Thank you. All praise be to the Most High.
It was a blessing to meet you and Elder Lawya and everyone. And I wanted to let you know that my husband passed this past Saturday.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. You have my deepest sympathy.
So, thank you. I just called to let you know that and to tell everyone that he loved you all and to keep me and my son in your prayers.
Oh, sister, I'm going to give you a call off of this. Hey, let me tell you, sister, even Paul says that we are not to sorrow like others if we know that Christ died and rose again, that they who have laid down in Christ will return when he returns. He's okay. And listen, there's sorrow here, but it must feel good to know that he made a choice to choose Christ right before he passed over. Sister, I'm going to tell you, he's in the bosom of Abraham, relaxed and waiting for another opportunity to see you on this side. So I'll keep you lifted up in prayer. And sister, know that life doesn't end here. Okay, this is just the beginning. Christ died and he came back, and he's coming back with your husband. And
Thank you, Elder.
You're welcome. And it's a blessing that I had the opportunity to be a part of that rebirth, with you, meeting you and your husband making that choice to be baptized and have past sins, put away. And I feel for you, sister, but understand, Christ has him. He's okay. Okay?
Okay.
All right, bless you. And
Thank you.
I will be reaching out to you. Anything you need from us, the church, let me know. And I'll personally make sure you have what you need, okay?
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, bless you, sister.
Shalom.
Shalom. 404 area code. 404.
Shalom, Elder. Shalom.
Shalom,
sir.
How you
doing over there?
I'm blessed by the Almighty. Yourself.
Great. You stay cooking over there in the proverbial kitchen, spiritual kitchen. I got to tell you. That's kind of deep. The discussion tonight, talking about the higher moral ground. So it kind of got me actually thinking about that. When it comes to the higher moral ground, where the hedge of the Almighty will be relinquished for his people, right? Therefore, the enemy has the fortitude and right to come in and strike, which has been going on. So that also kind of had me thinking about within the laws, statutes, and commandments of the Almighty, so you're familiar with predictive programming, right? Or preemptive programming. Like they kind of have to show through entertainment, what they're going to do to us before they actually take action. You're familiar with that, right?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I was really thinking about that, and I think that and I kind of want to hear your take on this. I think that that's actually an association with, God's USC code, if you will, in association with his righteous law. So Satan, even knowing that there isn't anything that he can do without first being or playing within the parameters of God's lawful game, right? So meaning like a warning has to transpire before Satan can take any type of adverse action against, the people, if you will.
Yeah,
so,
it's called in elite circles the lesser magic. The lesser magic, according to their code, is they must tell the people what they're going to do before actually implementing. And that justifies,
right?
Because a lot of people look at movies and all these others and not realizing these are messaging. Now, if we become part of the program and begin to mimic what we see, we fall to the lesser magic. When really they're telling you we're justified in killing you for doing this. So they'll put out the Godfather. They'll make a total wicked person a hero. Only so that if you mimic and follow that programming, it justifies them taking you out.
Bingo.
There you go.
So check this out. So I was looking at this. So like with all of, the major and minor prophets, right? What was it that they almost had to play out a metaphysical or metaphorical theatrical element before the people at the gates, be on one side, bind their arms behind them, right? And the people of Israel would stand there in awe. What is this prophet doing? It's metaphorical of they're showing almost through entertainment, right? What is to befall them metaphorically if they don't get themselves right. Kind of deep, right?
Well, you put it that way, but these were signs that you could, in relation to what you're talking about, I can see how you're making that correlation. Even though it's from two different sides, but I can see how you've come to that conclusion.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that's the way that Satan was able to, kind of bend and make entertainment. I actually looked into the etymology of entertainment. Enter meaning enter, to be within.
Okay.
Tain meaning corruption from within. So corruption from within. So I've actually deduced that entertainment itself is actually wicked, to corrupt from within. And then that's going to lead me into my question. And
but you're making absolute conclusion when there's nothing that even Satan produced in the earth that didn't come with good also, starting with the tree of good and evil.
Right.
So, that's the point. The point is the balance. So he didn't just have a tree of evil, even though it ended up being the worst thing that could have happened to us. It was something good in it. So the whole deal is, right, the whole deal when it comes to that, in the perspective that you're putting, entertainment isn't evil in of itself. And this is why they needed to control us when it comes to the entertainment business. Because we got on the wheel and did something different with it. We used it as a what? As a cry before the world when we started singing gospel. When Sam Cooke said a change is going to come, they didn't set up the machine to have people think conscious towards God. And that's why they just can't stand us. Because even what they made for evil, like even this internet and all this stuff we're using today, this was set up so that it can put everyone on the grid at the very end to be able to implement the mark of the beast and get rid of those who aren't on their program. So they meant it for evil.
Right.
But it meant me coming out of nowhere, standing on their same platform, exposing those who created it. So I can understand your dynamic, but it's not just absolute as it is. But I value your view, and you have the last word. Hurry up, get to the next call, sir. But I value your view.
All right, yeah. So So I just wanted to, and I agree with you on that as far as like the duality, with entertainment and almost just about anything can be juxtaposed in any fashion, good, bad, yin and yang. So I absolutely agree with you on that. Question that I had in association with the moral high ground. I don't know, I'm a bit of a statistician when it comes to analyzing things from almost, any dynamic. I don't know if you've done this research, but I'm almost wondering what is the percentage of the people whom are righteous that fall where the wicked are able to claim that precipitates that moral high ground to where they can come in, the godly hedge is removed, and start to decimate the people? Is it 10%, 20% wickedness, 50%? At what percentage does God remove the hedge for the people as a whole?
Well, there's no scriptures on saying that I will remove your hedge if you sin to this percentage. The whole thing is the parameter is the law. The parameter is the law of God. And at the end of the day, every person has a conscience and know right from wrong. So there is no place where it say, okay, when the scales are tilted this way, God is gone. At any time, even when someone is buried in sin, if you grow a conscience towards the Most High to repent, he'll meet you there and deliver you, even though your sins is red as crimson, like Isaiah 1 say. So it's as long as you're living, there's an opportunity. There is no thing where, okay, you have sinned to a degree that the Most High cannot deliver you from that. There's no percentage. But I'll tell you what, if you're in sin, you're going to live the judgment in earth. The Most High will make it definitely hard for you. And what happens with that, when you're going through those trials, a person with a conscience can reflect to how they have gotten there. Okay? So that's the whole deal. when you're going through the trials, even though people are too proud to tell others, when they're under some level of judgment, to themselves within their conscience, they know, if I wouldn't have done this, I wouldn't be here. And still at that point, through that reflection, reflecting back and owning it, not with people, but with the Most High, he can still pull you out of it. So the barometer is, as long as you have breath, that's the barometer. Because once you're dead, it's final. Okay, you got it?
Yeah, I got it.
My brother.
Appreciate you, Elder.
I appreciate you. Bless you.
Shalom.
Shalom. Chase has a question.
Elder Rawchaa, how you doing, brother? This is Chase Bigsby.
Chase Bigsby, how are you? How you feeling?
We gotta laugh every time. I'm doing good.
That's good to hear from you.
I'm doing good. I'm doing okay. Hey,
all right.
Listen. The brother before, I had a whole setup thought process what I was gonna talk about, and the brother before talking about what he talking about, and I said, you know what? When he was talking about that, I don't know. I just gotta say it, man. I'm struggling. I'm struggling hard, man.
You're struggling with what? Talk to me. What you struggling with?
I tell you what, I'm struggling with knowing too much and not perfecting. And I would say my biggest downfalls is I drink. I like to drink a little bit when I get off of that. That relieves me.
Okay.
That's the main thing that really kind of is my thing. I'm not saying just that, but
you drink what?
The biggest thing, huh?
You drink what?
Oh, it don't really matter, man. I drink a beer every now and then. It's afternoon.
Listen, brother. The Most High says, it tell you in the scriptures, a little wine for the belly and strong drink for those who are ready to die. So
Brother,
the whole,
I believe in what you say.
yeah. So the whole deal is, do you want to live? If you want to live,
the problem is, do I know better? Listen, I used to love my miniature Festa back in the day, and then it got to where I just sip every now and then. The problem is I like to drink every now and then when I get off work. It's a habit. At the end of the day, what I'm telling you is, I feel guilty about this.
well, listen.
Every day I feel guilty.
Well, this is what you need to do, brother, because really, I'll pray for you. But what you have to do is, believe it or not, set a fast for yourself. And, you know, not a fast of food and water and all that. Just set a fast and say, you know what? For 2 days, I'm going to go to cold turkey. None of it for 2 days.
Can I tell you something? Man? Listen, I think it's to help listeners.
Listen. You can, but I'm trying to give you an answer. The same discipline that it takes you to not do it 2 days is the discipline. It's the discipline. Because then, this is why I don't believe in Alcohol Anonymous. Right? Because I understood the psychologist. You need to look into the psychologist who created Alcohol Anonymous. Alcohol Anonymous on the surface seems as if it was something good. But it's a psychology that would have someone identify as their habit until they die. It's a control mechanism. You're not your habit. But they attach you to that habit as if you don't have other habits. And are you identifying as whatever else you do as a habit? So it's a form of control because it keeps you in the spirit of insecurity. Insecurity is what psychiatrists use to actually control people who constantly seek validation. That means you can get a person to do whatever you want them to do by giving them a pat on the head. And that's what happens when you are in the spirit of attaching yourself to a habit. So when you stand up and say, I'm Chase Bigsby and I'm an alcoholic, automatically you've attached your whole being to something shameful. And psychologically, you walk around the world insecure. So so what I'm saying is, I'm not saying that that particular program didn't help people to get off that and the conscience to get a discipline. But the psychology that's wrong about it is one attaching himself to the habit. All right. So the whole deal. So listen to what I'm telling you.
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Right? You are stronger than any habit. Aren't you?
Yes, sir.
And in Christ who strengthened us, we can do all things. Right?
That's 100% correct.
So instead of standing up and saying, hey, I'm Chase Bigsby, I'm an alcoholic. I'm Chase Bisbee, and I'm within the body of Christ. I'm Christ. He's in me. This is what we need to identify as. And that frees us from the bonds of sin that psychology attaches us to. You got it?
I got it. That helps.
My brother.
My brother, hey, that helps.
So I'm gonna tell you this, Chase.
I had a plan.
So Chase, this is what I need you to do. I need you to sleep.
Sir.
I need you to sleep it off, and call me tomorrow.
Okay.
All right.
Lord have mercy. I came with a plan of things to talk about with you.
Don't worry about it, brother.
100%. Yeah, I agree with you, man. I appreciate you.
Go sleep it off.
Yes, sir. You got my number, right? Please call me.
I'll call you up.
I'll
call you up, Chase. All right.
Thank you.
My brother.
I know you will. Thank you, sir.
All right, bless
my
you.
brother.
All
Shalom.
Right. Shalom. Gianna has a comment.
Shalom, Elder. How are you?
Shalom. How are you?
Doing well. How are you?
I'm blessed by the Almighty. The floor is yours.
All praises. I'll keep this pretty brief. I had just wanted to say, a brother a couple calls earlier had mentioned talking about like a moral high ground.
Yeah.
And I don't know if this is like has changed from different time periods, but I feel like the moral high ground is non-existent now that I'm 21. And I've noticed, like, in school and just being out in the general public and being on social media, people have, like, drastically changed the image they want to portray themselves as online. And some people have even made it known, like, they know we're running out of time. Like, we do not have time to be rebellious, but they still choose to partake in that. Like, I know you've probably seen plenty of I'm gonna just say alphabet people parades, and you're like people on that spectrum. I had seen a man holding a sign that said in all the rainbow colors, "I bet hell is fabulous," and that really made me think about like how exactly how bad things are getting, and to think that they're only going to get worse. Like, wow.
Well, sister, I'll tell you, this is the shame part of it, the shameful part of it. I would say the disappointing part of it. As a group, as a community, the moral high ground now is unattainable. That's the sad part about it. It's too many people who are seeking attention and seeking validation and can get this false validation through social media. And because of this, it have turned everyone into individuals. Individualism. And when Christ stated, a nation divided against itself cannot stand.
Mm-hmm.
So it's unattainable as a group now. It's too late. But it isn't. It isn't unattainable personally. There's like what we seen during the civil rights movement, when we under one movement shut down the United States, will never happen again like that. We had the moral high ground. And you have to understand that their greatest, I would say, psyop that they played on our people is to rally our people together under degenerates as civil rights leaders. They intentionally put the low moral as the optics for our civil rights leaders so that the whole earth could see during that George Floyd thing. That's the worst thing that could have happened. So what we had in the civil rights, where you had strong black men, women behind them, children standing together, the majority believed in God, standing for what's right, with not just the earth watching and the people, the citizens of the earth on our side, but the heavens on our side simultaneously. That will never happen again. So now it's about preserving the remnant.
Mm.
You guess what? You cannot save the harlot of Babylon. She don't want to be saved.
Mm.
You got it?
Yes, sir.
Great points, though. But hey, you're right. But hey, you're in the right place as a 21-year-old young lady making the right choice. When there's many choices out there for young girls to totally waste their life only to regret it when they're too old to do something about it. So what you don't, sister, so you as a young lady, do what's right in your prime, and you'll be better for it. Don't make the mistakes of yesteryears. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Well, thank
Yes,
you,
sir.
sister. Bless you, Gianna. All right.
Shalom.
Shalom. I have a few more, and then we'll conclude our broadcast. Greg has a comment. Hold up. That's Mika. Mika, then Greg. Mika, then Greg. How are you doing, Mika?
I'm hanging in there, Elder Rawchaa.
Is that a parrot?
I was called.
Is that a parrot? What is that behind you?
That's my grandson.
Oh, that's a baby. Oh, Lord have mercy. Feed that baby. Go on.
Yeah. Well, I got some bad news. You remember how I always call you and asking for prayer for my daughter?
Yes.
I don't know if you remember. Well, the other morning they found my daughter on the 605 freeway on the shoulder. They found her body.
I'm sorry to hear that. And you were really concerned about their lives, the direction they took.
I was always calling in, asking for prayer for her. And so now she's no longer with us.
They found her what? What happened?
It's still under investigation, but it's a homicide, and they said foul play was involved.
Sister, I'm sorry to hear that. You have my deepest sympathies. I've always put out prayers for you and your daughters. Where's her father?
He's in North California. He doesn't know yet.
Are you gonna reach out and tell him as soon as possible?
Well, I think he has a different number because I can only wait for him to call me so I could let him know, because I think he has a different number now.
You can find them. Go scour Facebook, scour social media. You'll find them somewhere. And how old was she? I'm sorry. You have my condolences. How old was she?
18.
Huh?
18.
And
18.
18. And you said you was concerned about her environment. What I mean, could you care to share what was going on there? You wasn't specific, but what was going on there?
Well, my daughter met the wrong guy.
And the guy is
And
in what
he took advantage.
It was a guy into the streets?
Yeah, it was more like a sex trafficking thing going on.
Ma'am, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
I'll make sure I put my prayers out for you, Mika, and I'll be giving you a call, okay? You have my deepest
No, I
sympathies.
appreciate it.
All right. Shame. Whew. This world. And it only gets worse because what I'm seeing, it's time for our people to come in, repent. Judgment is here. And it's time for our people to do what's right, because I'm going to tell you, even some of the people they're letting over in the city, in the country right now, it's nothing for them to snatch people up and do all types of things. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to tell you, who knows what was behind that? Because some of these people in these other third world countries coming over here from, the Middle East and all these others, there's nothing for them to snatch a person up and all that. That's normal activity for them if you aren't in their family, if you are, especially if you're black. Now imagine these people who coming over to the United States. Not to say that this happened, but I need them. I hope they find these people. But a lot of these people are suspicious that are coming into the country. Me and my brother was on the side of the road. Well, we were driving on this road on the highway, and I seen near the exit 2 suspicious Arab guys, right? 2 suspicious Arab guys, as if their car was broken down, trying to flag the car. I ain't see no smoke or nothing. Talking about, and hey, my brother was like, "Hey, June, you want to show up for a second and get some help?" I'm like, "Listen, I got some constitutional help. Okay, all right. We're gonna drive by, and they can get help somewhere else, because I got a class to teach. I'm not trying to get caught up into some Jacob against Ishmael event on the side of the road, because I'm going to teach class tonight. I will come out victorious." So I kept rolling. So there's a lot of suspicious activity that's going on. A lot of suspicious activity. So and they're hanging out from these other countries all over the place. So who knows? I just pray that the Most High would receive her in habitations. And I'm shocked. I'm hearing this and it's knocking me back. I'm hearing an 18-year-old young lady. Greg has a comment, and after that we'll end the call with the 216 area code for tonight. Greg has a comment.
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Yes, I have 2 quick little comments. First one is real quick. Yeah, it's definitely been a spiritual thing going on. I think with the callers that I've heard since I've been online, because I didn't get up here about 5 callers ago, but everybody is going through something. I think we've all been feeling this spiritual attack on us and everything. So I've been breaking through a lot of habits that's trying to come back and little things myself. So I just been trying to hold on or whatnot. But my other comment was this: since I've been doing a lot of my research on, all the old gods and all the people that so-called fell in the Great Deluge and all that, one commonality that I've seen in every culture, from the Zen dynasty, everybody, they all have a prophecy that this evil was going to get vanished. And it gave me a great joy that, you know, God has been prophesying his great work from the beginning. You know, I know other people may look at it like, you know, I think you were saying in one of your shows a couple weeks ago how they keep denying God. Everything they do, they deny God. And that's what they do. They'll say stuff like, well, the Hebrews, we stole this from them. But when you read our records compared to their records, it's the same. They're telling you that this great God that they refuse is gonna do something about all this wickedness and all this hard labor that we have to go through. And I just want to tell everybody, man, just hold on. You know what I mean? And because I'm trying to hold on. You know what I mean? But I've been seeing comparison. I got the graphs, all the, you know, when y'all be going through the timelines and everything, you know, they got the timelines. But we as Hebrews, we keep up with our dates through our God, understanding that Abraham, growing up the way he did, understood all of that, and he brought that down to our descendants. And now we here, and we got to keep that mantle going of this truth and this belief. And it's been giving me so much fire, and it's been pulling me away from this world by just understanding that, you know, I mean, the Most High gave us this knowledge. And I mean, that's the oracle of truth, and it's a pearl that I just cannot let go. And if I can hold on, everybody can else hold on. I done been to prison and everything since I've been in the truth. So again, I'm just giving all praises to the Most High for everything.
Thank you, my brother.
And, you know, keep doing y'all research.
Thank
keep
you, my
studying,
brother.
and
I
keep believing in the God. And this is the last thing. This is the last thing. It says in Joshua that, you know, you can either serve the gods before the flood or the one that we serve now. But for me and we're going to serve God. So again, you know, I'm paraphrasing just to cut time, but I just tell everybody, just hold on to our God, man. Because it's going to change. You know what I mean?
Thank you, my brother. Hey, we all are holding on. And we're not just holding on. We're battling. We're in the real war, the realm war. Thank you, my brother. And you know what?
Praises.
Just hold on. We'll win. I mean, there's many battles, and through battles, there's casualties. In war, there's casualties. But the Most High says that there's a great kingdom beyond all this darkness, right? So, and I know that other realm exists. Heaven is coming to earth. I know that, I'm going to tell you, a time of total rejoicing is coming if we can endure the trials of the final hour. And we're definitely nearing that final hour. That final hour in the Bible is the last 7 years before consummation. Sax player extraordinaire.
Oh, when the saints go marching in. You were just talking about it.
Yes, sir.
It's almost that time, huh?
Yes, sir. How are you? The floor is yours.
I'm doing all right. Update. My wife, she's recovering from the hip surgery. She's doing pretty good there.
All praises.
Taking it slow. But the other day, I told my mother, she's 93. So all of a sudden, she just starts talking to me and asked me, "Oh, do you know that Hebrew Israelite group?" Because, you know, my niece, she went with her husband and took off and went and sold everything they had and went to Egypt. And they haven't heard from her in 2 years.
Well, there's no Hebrew Israelite group with us doing that. So
I know that. Because
so,
I was just wondering why they were so standoffish with me. And they never told me. It's my 93-year-old mother told me about that the other day, because I was trying to help her out about them scams that they be doing with the older people.
Hey.
And she just came out and said that. And I'm like,
hey brother,
guy,
listen,
it was on.
If it's the guys I think it is, right now, whoever went over there is being held by their ankles, being shook until there's nothing left. So they're going to come back with rabbit ears. If it's the guys I think that's over there that she linked into. You know what I mean?
Some guy that was on the internet there that was up there with these glasses and his eyes was bucking out his head. He was our nationality, and he was up there showing pictures, you know, and stuff and pointing to it and start trying to talk about verses and stuff like that. And then I told my brother, I said, that's the last place you want to go. Didn't the Most High God take us out of Egypt? Why would you go back there?
Well, there will be safe places in Egypt. Egypt is one of the places we'll be gathered out of, but some of these shady characters that are over there, I mean, you're talking about one guy over there talking about he looking at the moon to figure out when the Sabbath coming. So,
oh Lord.
So I don't know. She ran into one of these. There's so many doctrines over there. Yeah. People in Cairo and other areas. You know, there's a lot of weirdos that got the spirit of Beelzebub in them, and what they try to do is tether themselves to this church to say, "Yeah, flee, flee, flee," and the next thing you know, you walking around asking, "Who hands in my pocket?" So.
Yeah, but it's
listen,
not like her.
Listen, what I'm saying is I've totally separated myself from all of that thing, and I'm like, nah. Is everyone trying to attach themselves to us? But at the end of the day, my brother, here's the reality. These are grown people.
Yeah.
So when someone
She's 24.
Yeah, but it's still, she's grown. When someone make an adult decision outside of guidance, they have to live with their decision. And at that point, it's in the hand of the Most High. These people are not victims. Let me tell you, a lot of people, like I said, a sister didn't listen to us years ago, came through Philadelphia and say, well, the Lord told her to flee and all this. And she disappeared, her husband looking for her. And then, you know, she wasn't even out of church. She was from Jersey somewhere. And we told them, these guys over here is going to these guys ain't about nothing you about to link into. And next thing you know, it goes exactly how we said it's going to go. You know, okay. They grab you by your ankles and say, okay, now, now through your money, I can survive another 2 months in this country. And then they get online and use their family and all that online to fish for another what they would think is a sucker.
Exactly. Extortion.
So, hey. So we warned them.
But I have one thing that's good. I went back to I'm going for my master class.
Okay.
I'm going to Juilliard.
Okay.
Juilliard Music School.
Okay. Pretty good school. Blessings. All right.
Yeah, I'll be a teacher.
Hey, brother. Hey. Get it done. Get it done. Well, brother,
okay.
Just call in for the Patreon because I'm about to break down in a second, okay?
Yeah, but there's something wrong with the Patreon. I try to talk to AC and I'm paying the money, but they're not letting me connect in the Patreon. They're taking the money out my account, but every time I go there, it's not working.
Okay, there's something different now. When you go to Patreon, you got to click on, you won't see the video. You got to click on that link and it'll take you to Vimeo. You have to view it differently now. They changed the outline of the whole page.
Okay.
So you're not going to be able to see it like you've seen it before. You'll see the title, but then you have to click and it'll take you to Vimeo and you'll see us live. And what I can do is I can make sure AC reach out to you to fix it before Friday, okay?
Okay. I appreciate that, brother.
I really appreciate you. And we'll talk soon. Bless you.
Okay. All right. Shalom, brother.
Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom. I'm glad. I'm happy healing with the surgery. Blessings.
Oh, thank you. Bless you.
Bless you. Happy healing. All right.
Shalom.
Shalom. All right. 562 area code. Shalom.
Hey, shalom, brother. Shalom.
Shalom. You're our last call for tonight, sir. Floor is yours.
Awesome. This is Brother Maine here in Northern California. I have a question.
Yes.
Would you be able to break down Isaiah 11 and 16 for me, please? I just want to see if I'm on the same page.
Tell me what you've assessed.
Okay.
What have you
The
concluded?
verse says that the
No, tell me, what have you
okay.
concluded from Isaiah 11 and 16?
Okay, from Isaiah 11 and 16, where it says the Lord was smiting. Let me grab it real quick. I had it here. Here we go. Isaiah 11. Okay, so what I have concluded from Isaiah 11 and 16, where it says the Lord was smiting, I believe it says the streams into seven ways.
Okay, let me get
Says,
there.
and there shall.
Yeah, what have you concluded, though?
Okay, I'm sorry. So the thing that I've concluded that is this is a future prophecy, correct?
That is a future prophecy.
Okay. I'm just saying that this was a future prophecy and that this is where the Most High is going to deliver his remnant from, I believe, the seven kingdoms, how we're from all over the nation or all over the world. That's just where I am. And
Well,
that maybe
that is correct. It tell you that again, right? And this is going to happen really after the war against Africa. Our people are going to begin to run on dry shod, including the Nile River that will soon be dried up. So this is how a lot of us are going to get into the wilderness. And at that point, the Most High is going to put a wall around us. And at that point, all of the soldiers that were chasing us is going to stop. They're not going to be able to go past that area. It's stated, and the Lord shall utterly destroy the tongue of Egypt. If you look at the bottom of Egypt, you'll see a tongue here. You'll see Shamal Sheikh, and you'll see Hurghada. You'll see right there at the tongue, and it borders Saudi Arabia, where the original Mount Sinai is till this day. They can't do anything in that area knowing that that's a gate between heaven and earth. The same 12 pillars that was there that Joshua and others that was in the camp was able to pitch for each tribe is still there till this day. And that will be the area again that the remnant of Israel will be gathered to. Some will go through the streams and others will be moved through portals who aren't in that proximity. And this is where the remnant will meet before the final purging. At that point, 2/3 of those in that area will be destroyed. There will be a rebellion in the wilderness, and that will be the last, that'll be the 2/3 that's cut off and die. And only 1/3 will enter in with Christ into the kingdom. And these are they who will produce children and reprocreate the new kingdom of Israel. Okay?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And would a precept to that also be in Deuteronomy? I believe Deuteronomy 28, where
nah,
he was 28 and 7.
Nah.
Okay.
Deuteronomy 28 is speaking specifically of the blessings and the curses. Right? What you would link to this is more so where it goes into where it goes into us being gathered out of the nations we're scattered. Okay? Being gathered out of those nations. Okay? Let me show you what I'm saying. Let me get it here in the Old Testament here. Ezekiel 20 and 33 on down is the prophecy for that. All right? Ezekiel 20 and 33 to 38. All right?
Yes, sir.
All right, my brother.
Yes, sir.
Have a good night.
20 and 33.
Ezekiel 20, 33 through 38. All right?
Okay.
Okay, with that concludes our broadcast for this evening. Thank you for Elder Rawchaa and Elder Rawchaa, Elder Dell for moderating and setting up the broadcast at Blog Talk for us, Elder Rawchaa.
Thank you for using Blog Talk
Thank
Radio.
you, Elder Lawya. You have a
Goodbye.
pleasant night and a good night's rest. Thank you. I appreciate you, my brother.
Yes, sir. You do the same.
All right. And with that, I'm going to say I'm Elder Rawchaa signing out from our weekly broadcast. Keep in mind, we're living in a nation that's in rebellion against God. Please do what's right and fall on the righteous, the right side of judgment. As long as you have breath, there's time. Do not fall with this rebellious nation. And again, if you want to support Israel, that's who we are. We're the children of Israel, and we're back. There's no reason to look any other place when it comes to supporting the lost tribes of Israel. We're right before you. We're the Israelites, we're back, and soon we'll see Zion. Have a great night. May the Most High be with you. Stay prayed up, sin not, and keep in mind the Most High is calling back the lost tribes of Israel. To the Jews, the Israelites, and the Gentiles in Christ, blessings. Our kingdom is at hand. Good night.
The East is where we're from. The 12 tribes of Israel. In 721 BC, the Assyrian king, he took us down, we fell. With a great escape, we went through the Euphrates. The Lord held the water still. To a land where no mankind dwelt, we went. The 12 tribes of Israel. So we be Manasseh, the Cubans. From Puerto Rico, Naphtali from the islands of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. Zebulon from Panama, Gad, the North American Indians. Simeon, the Dominicans. Our highest gathering Israel. The Arabs and Africans told us. At gunpoint. Together our wives and children then sold us. Of these great ships we traveled in fear. By the rivers of Babylon we found our brothers here. Asher in Colombia, Reuben from Australia, Issachar, the Mexicans, our highest gathering is Judah, the Negroes, Benjamin, the West Indians, Levi, the highest gathering in Israel. Asher in Colombia, Reuben from Australia, Issachar, the Mexicans. That's who we be. Judah, the Negroes, Benjamin, the West Indians, Levi, the Haitians, Manasseh, the Cubans, Ephraim from Puerto Rico, Naphtali from the islands of Hawaii. The Lord is calling back Israel. Zebulon from Panama, Gad, the North American Indians, Simeon, the Dominicans. Our highest gathering is